So today was the big day, the day that we ended up getting Operation Grand Heist added to PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC to follow, but we still ended up getting a title update on Xbox One and PlayStation 4, PC getting that on Thursday, which dealt with a lot of different weapon balancing and all things considered. But when we take a look at it, there was a big update on deck, probably the biggest one since launch if we're totally honest, and it added in not only maps, not only weapon tuning, but also a lot of other things as well. So today, we're going to be breaking down absolutely everything that changed within Black Ops 4, and it is a lot. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. We're gonna breeze through all this because there is so much to talk about. Starting out when we first jump into Black Ops 4, when we first boot up the application on our PlayStation 4, you'll probably notice that it's a brand new opening cinematic, one that will then reflect that of Operation Grand Heist, whereas the last one was that of Operation Absolute Zero, and the one before that, Operation First Strike, or I guess just the base of the game. Then after we end up getting past that brand new opening cinematic, you end up seeing there is a brand new homepage, something that you can end up seeing that will feature your, of course, favorite playlists of multiplayer, blackout, and zombies, soon to include League Play on PlayStation 4. But for multiplayer, you end up seeing we have a brand new game mode as that featured game mode on the homepage, that being One in the Chamber. Solos, Close Quarters, Frenzy is still available, and a brand new Gauntlet for Zombies, DEFCON 5, is brand new as well. There also is a little bit of an icon change for the black market, but we'll get to all that individually in just a second. As for MP, when we jump into that, the first thing that we really can talk about is that of the large weapon tuning pass. Now, we already talked about this before, so I'll glance over some of the big key stuff that ended up changing today, but if you guys want the full in-depth breakdown, don't really want to keep you guys too much longer than that of what we're already going to because we have so much to talk about. So you can check that out here on the channel, or of course I can try and put an annotation on screen here for you guys. But as for the key standout portions, there was an auger buff that made it overall even better than it already was, which is kind of surprising because it had the highest time to kill of any weapon that isn't a one-shot. Then the Vapor got a wild 5-hit kill range increase, increasing its max damage potential range by roughly 44%. The Maddox was nerfed, or rather, depending on who you ask, absolutely murdered, with decreases across the board to it. The Spitfire was drastically changed statistically, but it doesn't feel as bad as it looks. The Titan was also nerfed in terms of damage and flinch mitigation, and the MOG 12 with Dragon's Breath is actually pretty wild. It got a little bit of a buff there with that. But outside of the weaponry, we saw some things in the way of Flak Jacket being changed, same with Tac Mask. Now the fire resistance as well as radiation resistance no longer presides within the Tac Mask bonuses, but instead is a part of Flak Jacket, that perk now. And then the score streaks of the Drone Squad, Sentry, Thresher, Strike Team, and Sniper's Nest were all buffed in various different capacities. We saw the introduction of a couple of different modes, well, two to be exact, One in the Chamber as well as the Map Pack Mosh Pit. One in the Chamber is honestly a ton of fun. If you guys remember this from back in the day, the prime of Call of Duty, if you will, we theorized that maybe we'd end up seeing also with this the introduction of a revolver, but unfortunately that seems like we're just using the Annihilator, so rest in peace to that revolver dream for the time being. Might not be dead forever, but for this particular game mode and instance, it is something we're just using the Annihilator. Honestly though, if you haven't played around with it in Black Ops 4, or if you just want to relive some of the classic moments with One in the Chamber from back in the heyday, this is great fun and I definitely recommend giving it at least a little bit of a try. As for the Map Pack Mosh Pit, this is a mosh pit of just the DLC maps, and it will play on Domination, Kill Confirmed, and TDM for the maps of Lockup and Casino. Though if you do want to play a little bit more than just those two maps, the cool thing is these are already actually in the rotation for players that do end up having the maps and the Black Ops Pass. So no waiting around like the last DLC drop with Madagascar and Elevation. These are just right into the regular playlist that you can play around with in any game mode. One thing you might notice whenever you're in the multiplayer section is the brand new Grand Heist Operation Black Market. That's going to be something that again is very prominent right there in either MP or Blackout, but with this we end up seeing that we have a brand new Black Market with new items, an entire system overhaul at its core. So let's start out with the brand new Contraband stream. For Operation Grand Heist, you have another 100 tiers filled with all kinds of different stuff. It'll last 58 days here that you can end up grinding this out, or rather 59 days total, but now 58 in a few hours and change just because some time has passed already. But with this, you end up seeing that firstly, you end up having access to Outrider after you reach tier 1. Then you end up having a bunch of different things. You have the brand new weapons of the Cha-Ching melee weapon, the Rampage shotgun, as well as the Switchblade X9 at tier 100, with a bunch of other things thrown in the mix, such as some cool uniforms, and I really actually mean some cool uniforms. The entire baller set is actually really awesome, and that's available through the contraband stream for a couple of different specialists. You end up seeing there's one awesome one for Firebreaking, which is a police outfit. You end up having Brutus at tier 45 as a playable blackout character. You have a couple of different reactive camos. You have a camo set called Lady Luck that is available for all weapons once you reach tier 35, and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of different content throughout the mix here with this, but it's not the only way we're going to end up seeing content distributed through Operation Grand Heist and also going forward, because as we'll talk about in a little bit, we have the introduction of the reserves and also a revamped Blackjack's shop. So that kind of stuff will be available in the black market, but again, you have 58 days and a few hours and change to end up cashing in all this kind of stuff, and then you have those 100 tiers you can grind out via tier skips or your standard organic leveling up via about an in-game hour's worth of time. But after that, let's move over into the Blackjack shop, the items in the special order here at this one. For this, you end up seeing that you have the Benjamin's weapon camo, one that is available for all of the weapons. It doesn't matter what weapon, SMG, sniper, pistol, you name it, it is available for all that. It's like the 2 or 3 that we had last event as well that did this, like the Cherry Blossom. That's something you can then end up using on every single weapon. Along with that, we also end up seeing we have the Benjamin's jump pack, which will explain that in just a little bit more detail in just a few seconds. But this will include a Benjamin's parachute, a trail, as well as a wingsuit. Then you end up having also the Party Rock reactive camo, which is actually a little bit of a special order. These are all now into one location as well. So you're gonna have special orders and the actual shop items in one location. It's one-stop shop now. You have 5 different things here at this one, but ultimately resulting in the Party Rock reactive camo for the SOG 9mm. And if you have gold on any weapon, you can of course use that on any weapon as well, so long as you completed the challenge for the Party Rock camo. Additionally, the interesting part here at this is that it also, upon completion, will grant a 5% tier boost for your contraband stream progress. So possibly gone are the days of the 2x tier boost in the contraband stream, because you're going to ultimately be able to work your way up to plus 25% on that tier boost. You can end up earning at a little bit quicker of a rate. So each one, if my understanding of quick math is right off the top of my head, you'll only end up having to grind out 45 minutes of game time rather than 60 whenever you have that full 25% bonus come the end of the operation. But the cool thing is also that these do stick with you for the entire operation. It's not like it's a +5 for a couple of days. It's +5 and then it will compound with other deals you can end up taking advantage of later on throughout the operation. The final thing that you'll end up seeing in the Blackjack shop is the new My Deals section, which is going to be hidden at first, but every single day you can unlock it, and it's a random item that you can end up buying for a certain amount of COD points. I think this will also change that amount, but not everybody's deals are the same. Yours could be completely different than mine, and it honestly probably is. It's a random item that you can end up generating from reserves, I believe, and then it's brought up as a purchasable item within My Deals. Outside of that, you have an Operation 3 starter pack, which is something you end up getting a parachute, a trail, a wingsuit, 10 tiers, and then an Outrider coral outfit. So this is something that for $10, you actually get 10 tiers plus these extra items. So that starter pack, if you end up wanting to spend some extra COD points or something at the very beginning to kickstart your tiers, it's not a bad idea, but I would not do this towards the end. And we'll get to why in just a second. If we swap tabs, we can end up seeing that there's a brand new inventory tab that was added in with today's overhaul of the black market. And this is something that will allow you to see your reserve items, special orders, and shop history from everything that you've purchased and pulled. So anything that you've bought or gotten out of reserves will be found here. This functionality is kind of what you had with the special orders that were viewable of the past ones, because you can end up taking a look at things you ended up buying beforehand, but now it showcases all those items in your account's history. And an interesting little factoid is that it also tells you when you got them. So while a little bit more trivial, that is still something that's kind of cool. But here's where we start to get to the part where I am less favorable about this, where I'm not the biggest fan. You end up seeing the last tab, because we now have 4 that was added in, is now called Reserves. When you take a look at what is on this, you have firstly Blackjack. He is back from Black Ops 3. He is now less augmented, looking younger, and has a completely different background and different safe behind him. But you end up seeing that on the left side, you have a reserve case and also a reserve crate, plus a preview of the reserve items. Now, if you take a look and actually watch that reserve video, it's actually pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, whenever we watched this trailer, I was like, man, I kind of want like half these items. And that's going to be something that takes quite a long time, no less, but there are new Mastercrafts. The one that I really enjoy is the KN57 Mastercraft. There's new Mark II weapons, there's new Blackout characters, there's new uniforms, new camos, lots of cool stuff. And I mean, actually really cool content, stuff that is definitely worth grinding out in my opinion. but we'll get to why I'm not a huge fan in just a second. The only problem though is that they're all in reserves, which again isn't guaranteed for any of those items. You could get a completely dumb sticker that you had 3 months ago as well, instead of what you actually wanted. But the way that you end up obtaining these is through reserves, and there's 2 different types of reserves now with this. You can either play multiplayer or blackout, and your in-game playtime will then earn you a case eventually, or you can end up buying them for 200 COD points per crate. A case gives you 1 item in reserves, while a crate will give you 3. So essentially, it's the return of supply drops. You can then stack cases if you want. Crates I actually don't believe because you purchase those individually, but you see where this starts to go. Now, here's where I have a fundamental problem with these. Cases don't sound so bad because you can earn them, right? Well, don't get too excited because it takes roughly 2 to 3 hours for my estimate to get 1 item, or in this case, 1 case, with a high probability that it's a dupe because they're not dupe protected. That's okay, right? I mean, we end up getting eventually to the Black Operations Tier 101, in which we just get reserves afterwards. That's how all the other events so far have worked, right? Eventually, by doing so, we'll end up being able to utilize not only our time played in terms of progressing the tiers in the Contraband stream to getting other reserves, plus our tier skips, getting us another reserve, and then the grinded out ones that last about 2 to 3 hours. Ultimately, we can end up theoretically getting like 3 in a match, right? Well, you'd think that, but unless it's a bug, and I hope to God it is, once you reach tier 101, you don't get anything. There are no reserves after tier 100. So your tier skips, absolutely worthless. Your 1 hour of grind of in-game playtime to progress that Contraband stream tier, absolutely worthless. That's the part that really angered me. And if you've been around the channel long enough or know me even slightly, I'm really laid back, and probably as laid back as can be, and for something to actually anger me, that's another level. So I am not a fan of this, and I'm really hoping it's just a bug, but something firstly needs to be done about that playtime. 3 hours for 1 reserve item, that doesn't seem all that fair. Plus, then when players finally exhaust either by paying into the system or by grinding out 100 tiers organically to get absolutely nothing afterwards, I don't agree with that at all. But I digress, getting back onto the content and topic at hand of the update, giving you guys just the facts and my bias and opinion out of the way. Mark II weapons were also introduced. You may have caught that. We talked about that when talking a little bit about the items in the reserve trailer, but you end up seeing the Mark II or MK2 weapons are now signature weapons that are turned into MK2 or Mark II variants. These will now offer plus 25 XP per kill with them, and so it works very similar to how we've seen in the past with the Infinite Warfare Mark II weapons. So not only once again does it give a reason to equip the signature weapons, but it also means that we're going to be seeing more of these as time progresses and we move forward into the future. It was really interesting to me that within Operation Absolute Zero, and maybe even shortly before, I can't remember off the top of my head, that we saw all the reactives moved over to the Black Market tab and really no reason to select each signature weapon. So now these have a purpose again. That said, that's it for the multiplayer changes. As for Blackout, we ended up seeing a lot here as well. We ended up seeing, firstly, once you go over to that, you can firstly see that we have brand new solo modes in the featured game modes. We end up seeing that we have Close Quarters Frenzy as that featured game mode, even on the homepage, which will again just be your SMGs, shotguns, launchers, and all your close quarters stuff like that. A lot of fun, but definitely very hectic. And watch out for those ATVs. People are going to be trying to run you down for sure. A lot of people take these LTMs as just an excuse to ride around in vehicles. Then we also end up seeing we have solo ambush available as well for players that are interested in just the sniping game mode, and I'm super stoked with this one. I am definitely all for ambush returning, but even as a solo player, I think I can appreciate that even more because I play solo mostly. Outside of that, we end up seeing that we have a brand new area, or actually a lot, and apparently some of these are even on Xbox, not the big one, but Ghost Town is the biggest change here for this. It's a brand new POI. It's absolutely massive, and I think David Von der Aar even said it was comparable to that of the loot distribution of Construction Site, which is the highest looted area and also the largest POI on the map. So certainly interesting to see that it was comparable to that and maybe even very close to it. You end up having Outlaw up above and then Buried down below. So it makes a sort of multi-leveled area of play, and it is super hectic. If you play on PlayStation 4 and you jump in today, I guarantee you're going to run into at least 40 people. So that's going to be something that's a hotly contested area for the next couple of days, maybe a week and a half or so. Then it'll start to die down, but there's a lot of stuff to be had here at this one, and it's a lot of fun to play around with. I think they did a fantastic job with making it something worthwhile going towards, and also making it as interesting and as intriguing as both Buried and Outlaw the Standoff remake from Black Ops 3 all in one. So I'm all for that, but as for the other areas that ended up getting added in, you'll end up seeing that we have a ton of different areas that changed by either adding additional houses, additional garages, additional facilities, and so on and so forth, with even some areas that didn't exist before being added in, not just expanded upon. So take advantage of that, and I think those are the ones that are actually on Xbox One, if from what I'm told is actually correct. I don't have the game on Xbox One, so I can't verify myself, but I have had a couple of tweets saying that was the case. Outside of that, the merit system had a complete overhaul, and it's something that I can now talk about. I don't think that I was allowed to from my trip at Treyarch, but with this, we now see everything pretty much scaled up by 10. So add another 0 on to the required amounts of merits that you end up getting to rank up. Then you also end up having the ability to earn more merits per kill, per win, per top placing, you name it. Then you end up getting more merits with it. And the breakdown of how you end up finishing up a game, you'll end up getting 100 merits per kill, then you'll also end up getting 500 per top 15 finish and 1,000 per win. So of course you're gonna end up having a lot on deck here for what you end up getting in terms of just finishing the game out, but it translates almost exactly to how it was before. And the only thing that it was scaled up for, though, is apparently there are multiple different ways that also allow for more merits to come in. It's not detailed exactly in the patch notes, so I'll keep you guys up to date with all that once we end up finding all that kind of stuff out if you're interested. But the other big interesting part about the merit system was that a prestige system was added in to Blackout. Something that you now have 10 prestiges, then master prestige, all the way up to 1,000 levels that you can just keep grinding out within Blackout. And this is something that is honestly rather interesting, and when you prestige, unfortunately you don't get all that much. You end up having a brand new icon by your name, and you also end up having a calling card per each prestige. But the interesting part is that it actually takes some stuff away from you. Whereas you had your, say, Frogman, Seal, Battle Hardened, and those characters for 20, 40, 60, 80, and 81, those actually relock whenever you prestige. So unfortunately, you have to unlock those every single time over again, just like a weapon would be relocked upon prestiging an MP, but that's something that they don't stay unlocked, and then once you reach Master Prestige, then they'll be good. But I also don't know if I think that just a calling card is all I wanted. I was kind of hoping for maybe a skin for Blackout, Prestige, or something like that, but I digress, we can't always get what we want. Outside of that, we end up seeing that there were some armor changes, in which level 3 didn't really have any changes to it, thankfully. It did actually have an increased melee damage mitigation that brought it up to 50%, but that is something that is incredibly situational, and you don't experience that all that much. Level 1 and level 2, though, ended up having their damage mitigation brought up to 25% and 35% respectively, so a slight buff to level 1 and level 2 as well. There was a bunch of weapon tuning for Blackout, but again, just to save you guys some of the big time cuts that will end up keeping you guys around for a little bit more. I'll leave the link down there in the description below to the full patch notes if you guys want to check it out, but the big key portions are that 1, the SWAT got a nerf in damage, plus added recoil to the first 2 shots. The Daemon ended up having its 2 burst range nerfed. The Augur got buffed in recenter speed, its first shot recoil, and its ADS speed. The ABR got a slight burst delay, and LMGs now deal what I think is 50% more damage to vehicles and equipment, so they might actually be worth taking now at this point. They didn't actually specify what percentage. I think that I heard that whenever I was talking with some of the devs at Treyarch, and also I think they mentioned it on their stream yesterday, but could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. Outside of that, we ended up seeing some functionality things, such as the swap and attach option on weapons that have attachments. So instead of having to completely break down every single weapon, it will automatically transfer some of this stuff and make it a little bit easier for the player in terms of just the hassle aspect. Additionally, quick menu changes are a little bit different now, so you end up having things displayed in total number of items instead of broken up categories. So let's say you have 2 different categories of bandages. You have 8 in one and then a 3 stack in another. It'll then show as a total of 11 to which you can then use your healing without having to go over into each individual category. It will then just continue on naturally. So it's a very seamless transition and something that is definitely great for the quality of life of Blackout. Also, interesting, fun little tidbit is that the 45 cal and 9mm ammo now pick up in amounts of 50 rather than previously I believe it was 30. The final two things with Blackout are that one, there are brand new characters, so that's something you can then take a look at. We have Cosmic Silverback, the Dead Ops arcade ape from beforehand. He is now the Black Ops Pass character. We end up seeing that the Warden is available through the Contraband stream, so you can end up ranking him up, and it's Brutus from Mob of the Dead. Certainly awesome. And then the final one that was added in is Misty, but as it stands right now, it says that Misty is acquired via special orders, even though whenever I played at Treyarch the other day, said there was a quest line, so I'm hoping that gets changed or is an error or something, but I'm also hoping that if it does stay special orders, it's something that players can actually get, and it's not referring to reserves in any capacity, because that just would make things awful. Coming back to it, we did mention that there are jump packs, meaning that you can now customize your different parachute, you can customize your trail as well as your wingsuit, and so that's something that adds a little bit more customization to the fold and allows you to show off a little bit more of who you as a player are. Then rounding out the main content here at this, we end up seeing that Zombies had the introduction of a brand new Gauntlet DEFCON 5, which is the Gauntlet for Classified. Super awesome pun there, absolutely love that one. Treyarch detailed we have Helcatraz coming as of sometime in the very near future, a Gauntlet for Mob of the Dead, or I guess Blood of the Dead in this case. Then we also end up seeing there's the additional tier skip awarded for the daily callings, so that now allows Zombies players to have 2 tier skips per day. You can end up doing that by hitting round 15 in Zombies, and or as well by doing that by completing your daily callings. And then also there is a bunch of stability fixes. So that said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. That's been a ton of content. Again, super long video, so thank you guys so much for watching if you made it this far, but that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think here of Black Ops 4's 1.13 update about the Operation Grand Heist introductions? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know them in the comments section down below, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and want to stay up to date with all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, there's the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. Well, let's head out of the way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine's Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.